Chinese dissident Peng Lifa hung a banner, and Lin Ying and Han Shuangyan of South China University of Technology wrote articles mentioning democracy. In modern China, democracy is the May 4th movement. Democracy was invited from the West to destroy the old democracy of the feudal autocracy that can use good people and dominate the people, and the imperial power is supreme, but it also derives democratic centralism, new democracy, people's democratic dictatorship, and whole process democracy. These words are all phrases with attributive structures, and the center point is still democracy. What is the concept of democracy in your 9 twists and turns? What is the connotation? He replied. The connotation and extension of democracy can be found in the Oxford Dictionary. Article 1. Country with principles. Government in which all adult citizens share through their elected representatives. Let's talk about Article 3 first. Society in which there is treatment of each other by citizens as equals and with absence of class feeling. Here I want to emphasize the absence of class feeling. There is no feeling of class gap. Finally, let's talk about Article 2. Country with government which encourages and allows rights of citizenship such as freedom of speech, religion, opinion and association, the assertion of the rule of law, majority rule, accompanied by respect for the rights of minorities. The freedom of belief mentioned in this article is not only freedom of religious belief, but also freedom of political belief. The Constitution of the People's Republic of China only stipulates freedom of religious belief, and political beliefs can only be Marx, Engels, Lenin, Mao, Xi Jinping thought, and the Chinese dream. If you oppose these political beliefs, the consequence is imprisonment. However, they obey the majority and protect the minority, mentioned in Article 2 is rarely mentioned. Make such an assumption that the majority will not be 100% correct every time. What if the majority's decision is wrong? Take the land reform in Zimbabwe, which is known as the breadbasket of Africa, as an example. After the 1980s, the majority of black people gained the right to rule, passed laws, carried out land reform, and forcibly confiscated the land owned by the minority of white people, representing the fundamental interests of the majority. Later, white farmers left the country, and blacks could not manage farming. Grain production dropped sharply, inflation was astonishing to 1,600 times, the economy fell into chaos, the country was in turmoil, and the happiness of the majority was not represented. For example, in early Europe, most people believed that the sun revolved around the earth, which represented the belief of the majority, so the majority burned Bruno, a minority who promoted the truth of heliocentrism. The majority was not only wrong but also guilty. The majority of democratic people is not always perfect. In his inaugural speech in 1801, U.S. President Jefferson mentioned, although the will of the majority should be given priority in any case, that will must be reasonable to stand, and the minority also enjoys the same rights and must be protected by equal laws. If it is violated, it is oppression. Therefore, at the U.S. Constitutional Convention in 1787, a republican system based on the ancient Roman separation of powers was proposed, which is also implemented in Taiwan by the Republic of China today. Legislative, executive, and judicial powers are separated, and those with power can only have one power, not two or more. The president vetoes bills passed by the Senate and the House of Representatives with one vote. Small states and large states are equal in the Senate with 2 votes each. Judges' judicial reversals are equivalent to acts of legislative power and executive power, and are considered to represent that the minority can change the decision of the majority. In this way, the 3 principles of the concept of democracy are implemented in a republican system with separation of powers. If the separation of powers is not well established, it is difficult to perfectly implement the 3 principles of democracy. The English title of Politia by the ancient Greek thinker Plato is actually Republica. Plato lashed out at democracy and believed that democracy was worse than autocracy. Ancient Greek Athens, which is regarded as the origin of democracy, was recorded by Aristotle. Scholar Kunayong summarized Aristotle's chapters, and the English title is Atheniensium Respublica. Ancient Greek Athens was a republican city-state with separation of powers.